All right. Hello. Hello, guys. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can't or if you can. Hello. Guys, am I audible? Can you hear me? All right. So I'll just start. And if you cannot hear me, you let me know and then we'll fix it. Okay. All right. So what are we looking at today? We are looking at the problem of slow reading. Well, the thing is, the CLAT is probably one of the most reading intense exam out there. Probably one of the most reading intense exams that I've definitely one of the most that I have encountered. So reading speed is paramount, if you ask me. It's really important if you want to get through all of the questions. It's really important that you have a very good reading speed. At least it has to be above average. All right. So we'll take a look at the nuances of reading. I mean, most people they just stick with what the speed that they have, but you need to hone that skill. It's a skill that needs to be honed across. And it's not just important for the English part or for a particular part, but it really spans across the whole exam. Cuts through legal reasoning, cuts through GK, cuts through English for sure. So a lot of heavy lifting needs to be done by your reading skill. And apart from reading skill, if you think of it, endurance is also very important. The ability to endure a paper of that of magnitude that requires that level of reading, you need to have a lot of endurance to be able to do that. All right, so let's take a look. Techniques that can help you. Now, one of the things that says is triple your speed. Uh, is there a way for me to understand if I have tripled my speed or not? That depends on if you count your speed. So today you need to know if you are at X. Only then you can understand if you've reached 3X. So the first tip, measure this. Measure what your reading speed is today. Okay. So we'll start. Let's see what we have in store for you. Objectives of this session. What are we going to do? Why reading speed matters? Why is it that important? I think that is fairly obvious, should be obvious to you by now. But if you're not, if you're new to the domain, you will understand it through the session. What are the habits that really slow you down? Bad habits that really impact your reading speed. We'll also look at some speed building techniques, how to build a speed, and we'll also look at a practice plan that we have. I mean, you can always devise your own, but we'll try to give you some idea on how to devise one. All right. So let's take a look on why it matters. Why is reading speed so critical when it comes to CLAT? Like I said, extremely reading intensive, right? It is long paragraphs across sections, which cut across sections actually. So very reading intensive. Therefore, you need a good amount of speed, lots of questions as well. So we need a lot of speed when it comes to the CLAT. Why? Legal, RC, GK, they all depend on your reading ability. You need to read all three sections are again based on really long paragraphs. So therefore, without having a good reading speed, it is impossible for me to cover all of the sections in the given time frame. Time pressure, there is the element. It's not just reading at home, right? You're not just sitting leisurely having a cup of tea and reading. No, there is a lot of pressure to get the questions right, and the long passages make it really difficult. Plus, if you add the questions themselves, you need to be able to read the questions and the options. Those add on to your time. So these This is causing pressure. This is also causing time pressure and requires a lot of intensity to cover all of the options. Slow reading causes panic. Often, if you're really reading slowly, maybe you're getting all the answers right, but you look at the watch and it's like an hour has passed by, right? So that is a problem. It may lead to panics. People start panicking and start getting the answers wrong, which is the last thing you want in the exam is for this to happen, right? You don't want to panic. Okay. So these are the reasons why it's so important to hone this skill at this moment. And it is also something which takes a while. It doesn't come naturally. It's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a month. It takes some while to get this up to speed. Okay. So what is the meaning? What does it mean to have a good reading speed? A lot of people think skipping, understand, just running past the RC or the piece of text. That is what reading speed is. That is not true. Second, a lot of people think guessing is the way to go. You just second guess, right? What's coming next? Problem, not to do. Speed is a natural talent. A lot of people think it is just a natural talent. Some people do have it very naturally. They can read, but in fact, if you think about it, again, it's not very natural. They just have been reading for much longer, right? So that's how their reading speed is built. You can also get there with enough practice. What really speed is efficient understanding of what is going on, right? If you grasp what is going on fairly quickly, you will be able to read fairly quickly. It's very difficult to read something very quickly without actually understand what is going on. So efficiently understanding what is going on improves my speed naturally. That's just the way it works. All right. So what is the challenge when it comes to the clat? What is really, in terms of the reading part of it, what really is the challenge? There are a lot of long legal passages that you encounter, very complicated, right? Complex sentence structures within them. Within those long passages also, you have a lot of complicated sentences that can throw you off. A lot of new vocabulary, right? A lot of words that you've never seen, highly technical, sometimes filled with jargon, right? So new vocabulary can often stump you. You're reading, you see a word you don't understand, and it just completely stops you in your tracks, right? We'll deal with that as well. So another reason why it becomes very complicated, mental fatigue. Like I said, endurance is required, right? Like if you're reading, say, just think about it today. Can you sit and read for an hour or so without wavering off? No, you can't. So mental fatigue is also something that is caused due to this paper. So you need to have a lot of endurance to handle this. It's not just the speed, you need to be able to do it effectively, right? Limited time. There is always a time limit which may lead to panic, right? Not understanding a particular sentence, reading it again and again, not understanding it can cause you to panic because of the time pressure. All right. So all of these are some of the ways in which your reading is being challenged by the clat. All right, let's take a look at how do I succeed then? How do I how do I ace the exam? Get a good reading speed. And this is linked to this. You need to be able to comprehend to have a good reading speed. And then I need endurance. I need to be able to go from one part to another to another. So if this doesn't happen, I can have the best reading speed and I can be comprehending, but I'll run out of gas, right? So I will lose out. I can have great reading speed and I can have endurance, but I'm not really comprehending what is going on. I'm just reading, I'm not really understanding. So again, doesn't work. I don't have good reading speed, but I have good comprehension and endurance. Well, it's not a test match, it's like a T20. So I need to be able to do it in a particular time frame. So therefore, again, doesn't work. So you need all three components for you to do well in the exam. All right. All right. So reading speed, comprehension, and endurance, three critical aspects of the success formula. What are some of the bad habits? Let's take a look. First, Getting rid of bad habits is more important than getting good habits, right? So first we need to get rid of the bad ones. What is the first one? Sub vocalization, vocalizing what you're reading. Problem: you start reading every word in your head, every single word. Therefore it is mandatory, exactly like that, right? This is a problem. Don't do that. This will limit your speed. In fact, this is highly, I mean, I would say inflated. I think it'll put you somewhere between 150 or something, right? So in my book, 150 to 250 is the range in which it will land you. Sub vocalization, you need to get rid of it right away. Reading silently, like speaking each word, that's basically what you're doing in sub vocalization. You're reading silently, it's almost like reading it aloud, right? Fix. What is the fix? Read in groups. Do not read each word, read it in groups. Identify a particular group, then another group, then another group. Scan the paper like that. All right. You don't need to be reading every single word. Okay. We'll take a look at the reading in chunks and how to do that later on. Okay. Bad habit number 2, regression, rereading. A lot of people just really don't understand, or they don't understand something fully. They start reading it over and over and over again. Never really helps. The best you can do, if you're in a situation like that where you really don't understand, you grasp as much as you can and you move forward. Maybe from a broader context, you can then attach it, get its entire meaning. All right. So going back to previous lines, going back again, reading, repeating the same cycle, not always helpful, and definitely causes a lot of time issues. So don't do that. Example: reading the same paragraph twice to feel confident. Try to feel confident by reading it again. Never really works in my book. Never really worked for me. What can you do? You can use a finger or a pen as a guide as you read along. This is something that you can do. All right. What else? Bad habit number 3, stopping for vocabulary is a very common problem. People start stopping for their vocabulary. Oh, I don't understand this word. Pausing at an unfamiliar word. I don't understand jurisprudence. So I will try to recall its meaning. And that may take a while. It may never even happen. You may never get it right. Right? But you're spending a lot of time. It has stopped you. One of the biggest problems that really damages your reading speed is if you stop for a word. What you need to do is infer from context and move on. You need to infer it from the context and move on to the next part. If you can't, again, like I said, maybe try to get it from the broader context. All right. The goal is not necessarily to understand every single word of the piece of text, right? You need to be able to gather as much meaning from the piece of text as possible. Sometimes it could be only 95% of it. Maybe we don't have to stop for the vocabulary. Okay. And if the word is that important, maybe say it features in a question, then you can go back to it and try to spend some more time. But otherwise, it is redundant, right? Like you're wasting time at a thing which has not been asked. Okay. So that is a very really poor habit that you can have, is stopping for vocabulary. You need to get past it. All right. Number 4, treating all lines equally. Another big mistake. Not all lines are meant to provide the same level of information. There are some lines which are important, some which are not very important, some which are context, some which are the main point, some which are examples. So we need to know which is which, right? And then treat the lines depending on that. So if there is a line which is the main point, I can spend some time trying to understand it. If there are sentences which are examples, basically, I don't have to spend that much time. I just try to get what I can from what is given, try to read that in chunks or maybe skim, right? So that's how it works. You don't always have to treat all lines equally. Again, modulation is important. Knowing when to read fast and knowing when to go slow is crucial. Spending equal time on examples and main ideas. Problem, right? Get rid of that. example, legal passage with a 5-line example. I mean, if you get the point, run through the example, right? You don't have to spend a lot of time. So focus on the arguments and conclusions, not really the examples particularly. Okay. Get a grip on the details, in the sense, get some idea of details. Okay. Get some idea of the details, not necessarily the whole thing. And the last one, never measuring speed. Like I said, the title says triple your speed. How do I even know I'm going to triple it if I don't measure what it is today? I need to know what it is today for me to be able to 3x it. I need to know what x is. So start measuring it and do it consistently. Right? Having no idea about the words per minute is going to be very damaging. Time you're reading regularly. You need to do that a lot. What are some of the techniques that can help you solve these problems? So now we are getting into the good habits zone. What kind of good habits that we can adopt, right? The first one is pointer method. Use your finger, pen, or cursor while reading. Try to run it through when you're reading instead of just keeping it all in your head. Try to run it through. What are the benefits? It almost doesn't make you regress, right? It's really going back. You will realize that what you're doing, and it will gradually get rid of this. Improves your focus also. Once your eyes are fixated on your pencil or on your finger, it helps improve focus and also increases the pace naturally. You will gradually notice that your pace is increasing. Chunking, this is big. This is very important. This is a skill that you absolutely need to have, because the opposite of that is reading each word individually, which is a real no. Okay. The court held that the contract. No, don't do this. Read it as the court held the contract. This has to be seen single view. It's all about how you see it, right? If I see this one, this one, this one, this one, it's too long. I have to see this whole thing as a single chunk. That would improve my comprehension also. It really helps with the comprehension as well, right? If the court held that the contract, it's really hard for me to comprehend it because this whole thing means one thing, right? So that's a problem. So you can take it as a practice. What the doctrine of proportionality plays a crucial role in constitutional law. That's the sentence. How can I break it down? The doctrine of proportionality, I see this as one, that it plays a crucial role where, so this is here, what what is, let's say, the verb, right? Like what it's doing, what does it do? And constitutional law, there you can say how, what, how, and where, right? So I've basically divided the sentence. Something does something somewhere. So I took this one part, and this as one part. That's how I'm separating the sentence, right? So this way of reading has to be inculcated. You need to practice this technique. What is a 3-layer reading strategy? There is a something that we call a 3-layer reading strategy. Okay. What is the first layer? Is understanding the structure. What is the topic and what is the purpose? What is being given to me and what is the purpose of something like this? Understanding what the structure of the piece of text is. Layer 2, what are the arguments given within that piece of text? What is being claimed and what are the reasons given for it, right? And the third one is the details. What are the details? What are the facts, examples that are given to further their point? Argument is basically the main point, let's say, main point or supporting point. Main point, basically the point, right? Structure is the reason for it, almost, right? Like The reason for existence is what I say, not reason for existence. The topic is and why it exists, right? And details are to further your argument, you give certain details, right? So those are will be the facts and examples. This is not really the most important part. This is the most important part. Right? The arguments are the most important part of it. An example, say there is a passage about freedom of speech. What would be the first layer? The topic itself. Freedom of speech is the topic. What is the argument? Let's say an argument is given that it must have reasonable limits. That's the argument. Say there's a topic on freedom of speech and it says it must have reasonable limits is the basically the argument that is given within the piece of text, and some examples are given. Now you can do this as a exercise at home where you identify all three layers. Every time you read, you read them out in a manner where you are able to mark what the layers are, that this is layer 1, which is the reason for existence, which is what the topic is really, then the argument, what really is the argument within that topic, and then what are the examples given to make their point. The author has used what kind of examples to make their point. Okay, so this is something that you can start incorporating in your reading. Okay, for legal passages, something that you can do is identify what the legal issue is, identify what the argument is, and then arrive at the what the conclusion is, right? So again, it's something that you can mark every time that you read a legal passage. You can just do what the legal issue is, what the argument is, what the conclusion is. All right. What to ignore initially is the case names and detailed examples. A lot of details sometimes can bog you down. Sometimes you can get too mired down in it, right? You don't want to be too caught up in the details. All right. So avoid that. An example, what if the issue is this particular law constitutional? The argument given is that it violates certain rights. The conclusion that it should be struck down or changed, right? This is an example that you can see. What are the benchmarks that I need to hit if I need to do a good job in the exam? What are the speed benchmarks that I need to have? Generally, you have around a decent reading speed. What we casual reading would be this. This is what we have, right? 150, around 150 usually is what people have. You need about 250, around 250. If you need to get through the entire paper without trouble, you need to have somewhere close to 250. And if you're going to somewhere elite level, right, is more than 400. Your target should be around 300 to 350 is what I'd say. 250 should be enough, but you should try to target 300 to 350. And if you can do 400, well, that's wonderful. There's something that a lot of people think that it's almost like people think that if you're trying to be fast, you are losing out on accuracy. In fact, I have encountered that is the other way around. Uh, if you're improving your speed, it almost always translates into better accuracy, because some of the habits that you get out of building a good reading speed translate into effective answering also. Better focus. To be able to read fast, you need to a lot of focus. So if I am better focused, I will naturally also have good understanding. Therefore, I'll have a good accuracy. Less fatigue, because I'm not really fatigued. Therefore, I have more energy to tackle the questions. Clear structure, understanding, because of the way I have designed myself to be able to read fast. I also get a good understanding of the way things have been structured in this piece of text. And reduced panic. I'm more comfortable. I can see that the time is not running out. I have ample time. So all of these contribute to improving the way you answer your questions, right? So improving your score, improving your accuracy in the questions that you tend to that you answer are also improved by improving your speed, right? So it's not just a matter of getting to the end of the exam, but increasing the speed improves the way you attempt the paper as well. What can you do as a practice? You can remove regression first. The first thing you need to do is get rid of this policy of regressing, do going back, back, trying to understand, right? Get rid of this first. Improve on chunking. Put pieces of text broad, point wise, right? What is really trying to say. So improve chunking. This is to be done next. Focus on legal passages, a lot of jargon heavy stuff that is basically you need to not just for the legal element but also for the English section also. Try reading stuff which has a lot of jargon. Try reading stuff which has a lot of technical language. That will help you get through some of the technical passages in the exam fairly easily. It's not just about reading this reading speed, but it also is about having the speed in certain topics, right? Just give me a second, guys. Sorry. Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry for that tour of the studio. All right. Legal passages, right? So do a lot of technical reading. See, because if I have to, reading speed often depends on how comfortable I am with the topic. If I'm reading something fairly comfortable, say a novel of my favorite author, I'll get through it much quickly. But if I'm, say, reading philosophy, then it is much harder to read, right? So do a lot of reading which involves technical subjects. Okay, full mock integration. Try to incorporate uh, all of these strategies into your mocks. All right. So that is something that you can build up on. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, you gradually start building up your speed. An example of a drill, speed drill, you can employ some of these speed drills separately, right? Reading 300 words in 1 minute, just pick up a piece of text. Again, if it can be technical, maybe later on, if initially, if you're not very comfortable, just do this exercise with something you're comfortable with. Later on, you can pick up something far more technical. Okay. Read 300 words in 1 minute. Note the time, count correct answers that you're getting. Try to quiz yourself based on the piece of text, and then track your improvement. This quizzing can be initially just very detail oriented also, doesn't necessarily have to be. So try to summarize it, right, in a way, in the best way that you can, and try feeding that on some LLM to pick up chat GPT. Try to feed the answer, see if the summary matches the summary that you are giving, right? All of these things can be part of your speed drill, right? Because see, if you're not just reading to read, you're reading to answer questions. So the speed has to be equated to that. That is the goal of getting that speed, right? All right. So what are some of the key takeaways from this session? Speed is trainable. Don't think of it as a very natural thing. You can, and you should be training yourself to build up that speed. Structure matters more than details. It is really important that you focus on the structure of the pieces of text, not really the details. Details are, in fact, often just to make life harder for you. Really, what matters is the structure, the arguments, the topic, the reasons, right? Accuracy improves with strategy and speed, right? The better strategy you have, the better speed that you have, accuracy will naturally improve. It is not the trade-off that we think it is. All right, improving your speed will naturally improve your accuracy as well. Last, consistency is key. If you want to build a good reading speed, you need to be consistent with this process. It's not something like you read a bunch of formulae and you get it and you just leave it. That's not how it works. You need to consistently build on it and hit that number of 300 that you're targeting. All right, so that's it for today's session. Hope you pick up some of the good habits and drop some of the bad habits that we mentioned today, and try building up your speed for the CLAT. All right, all the best. Thank you.